So heavy, knock you down when you're down already. Oh, so much to carry. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? All the drama lately, yeah, it's overrated. So unnecessary, yeah, I just can't take this feeling anymore. Leave it at the door. I've been falling over, too much on my shoulders. You can only think so much before you break down. All I really need is space to breathe. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? Knock you down when you're down already. Oh, so much to carry. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? Stop, just wait a minute. I just need a second to regain my peace of mind before I explode. 'Cause there's a lot of things I can't control. I can't control. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? Knock you down when you're down already. Oh, so much to carry. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? Ooh, to the people in the back, all the way to the front row, front row. Ooh, now let me hear it back. Sometimes I gotta let go, let go. Ooh, to the people in the back, all the way to the front row, front row. Ooh, now let me hear it back. Sometimes I gotta let go, let go. Ooh, to the people in the back, all the way to the front row, front row. Ooh, now see it on back. Sometimes I gotta let go, let go. Ooh, to the people in the back, all the way to the front row, front row. Ooh, now see it on back. Sometimes I gotta let go, let go. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? Knock it down when you're down already. Oh, so much to carry. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? Why does everything gotta be so heavy? Knock it down when you're down already. Oh, so much to carry. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? Oh, to the people in the back, all the way to the front row, front row. Now see it on back. Sometimes I gotta let go, let go. To the people in the back, all the way to the front row, front row. Now see it on back. Sometimes I gotta let go, let go.
Welcome! It is a special edition. Oh, I didn't even change my graphic. It is no longer a What Up Wednesday. And that's because I am on the wrong. Hang on, I got. What if I do that? That works. At least we've got that much. Oh, have I mentioned about technology and how much I love it? All right, let's say hi to a few people and see how my sound is, because you're all going to be telling me everything is there. Let's see. Oh my gosh, it's busy. Anita, bienvenidos. Good to see you. Inga's here. Somebody has to click the eCam link in the description so that we know who you are. There are privacy restrictions that Facebook is actually respecting for once. So in order to know, I need you to click that link. Rachel, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Buzz is awesome. Robert's in the house. Good to see you. Yvonne McCartney, great to have you. Marvo, attaboy. Simon Begg is here. And Jenks, of course, is going to be here for the bants. He's not here to share his knowledge. We know that much. Okay. Pritpal, hi. God, long time no see. Graham Wolcock, great to have you. And Lou is here. Yes, you are. Lee, I don't know. We'll have to see when I bring him on in a moment. We'll see what's happening. Andy Waller's here. Great. Thank you so much. Let's see. Sounds, audio, mute. Lost my voice. Is my voice here? My voice is going on now because I can see it, I think. Let me know what's going on. I love it. And now that I'm catching up with all the comments, I can see that I was muted. Yay, I'm back. I don't know what's going to be happening for all this stuff. I'm just hoping that all of the scenes that I've set up are going to work. I have no idea. I might need to stay glassed up for this for a little while, just so I can see everything that's happening. Oh, Colonel, yay! Good to see you, hon. I hope things are good over there. Alex is here as well. Ian is confirming that the sound is good. Excellent. I'm sure you'll tell me. And more. And my favorite birthday friend, Stephen Cox. Awesome. Okay. So don't forget also, let's see if this, I have no idea if this is going to work. No, it's not. I was just going to remind you that if you haven't looked into the FHU third team yet, please do. FHU3T.com. And there is a coffee a month membership. In fact, a really poor cup of coffee, because it's only $3 US a month. That can buy you a cup of coffee at McDonald's. And I don't think it's very good. So keep that in mind. And that gets you special fun things that you can go read about on FHU3T.com. And there's the yellow membership as well. And I have been talking about that and putting it in all my posts. But if you need to know more, you can sign up for a one-on-one meeting with me, which I'd love to be able to show you. Let's see if that works. Ah, see? I got something right. Go check out FHumpires.com/1-on-1. Yeah, that's going to be easy for you to find, right? Who knows? All right. Without further ado, you're all here because Umpire at Home returns with a really special umpire. I'm so excited to have him on. I've been very privileged to know him for a little while and have obviously, as you've all noticed, as I clip my indoor matches, I am a big admirer of his work on the pitch. Also, because he does so many games, he's basically doing them all anyway. So that's a thing. So hopefully I'm going to get this right. I am going to add, and there he is, I think, on the broadcast. Lee Barron, or Baz, as many people know him. Welcome to Umpire at Home. How you doing?
All right, yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Just enjoying the British weather at the minute. So we need some flippers and snorkel tomorrow. We'll see.
I understand I understand it's been 3 days of gray and wet, and you're basically just living out English winter. So There you go. Everybody gives me a hard time for living in Calgary, but sure, it might be -5 outside, but it's beautiful sunshine and snow and it looks great. So that's kind of more important, isn't it? Maybe. There you are. So, Baz, let's get things started because there's a slim chance, although not very large, that there's some people watching this broadcast who don't know everything about you. So could you just give us a rundown of sort of, quickly your start into hockey, but specifically umpiring and how you got into the indoor game in England?
Yeah, I think interesting that indoor in England used to be a lot bigger than it is now. So I think years ago when I started, every county had pretty much an indoor league. So yeah, a lot bigger than it is now. Very few and far between are the indoor leagues, unfortunately. That's just the way the game's gone. So yeah, I used to play indoors when I was 17, 18. We used to play every Tuesday or Wednesdays in Yorkshire and further afield. So that was my kind of introduction to indoor. Before that, it actually started at school. Like a lot of people, my introduction was at school by one of my biology teachers, strangely enough, not a PE teacher, a biology teacher, who actually played for one of the local teams. So there's about a dozen of us in the school sports hall, and we do some training and things, and I ended up playing for the same club actually. So yeah, that was kind of the introduction.
Oh, you've frozen a little bit, but that's okay.
Okay, that's fine. We used to play on a Wednesday night at a place called Herringthorpe in Rotherham, and basically I would play 2 games and then umpire a game. And in those days, we used to play a lot against Sheffield and Doncaster, and there was 2 guys that did exactly the same as me. One was called Richard Wilson, who at that time was probably one of the world's best umpires, which I didn't really know at the time. And the other one was a chap who was quite up and coming, quite vocal, called Steve Brooks. Oh. So I started umpiring with Brooksy and Wiz.
Wow.
And, from that, really, it was pretty much. I remember Brooksy saying to me one night, he said, "Let's be honest, Baz, you're not very good with a stick, but you could be all right with a whistle." And yeah, it took me 10 years after that to kind of stop playing. But yeah, I suppose the rest is history, really. So you can blame Mr. Wilson and Mr. Brooks, really.
Oh, that's quite a legacy to leave, that's for sure. So it sounds like around your area there was just sort of this pocket of exceptional people and an exceptional amount of indoor, and that's how you sort of got into that. How did you find indoor versus outdoor in the early days? Were you more of a fan of indoor? Did you like umpiring and playing it more, or how did that work out for you?
I think because I umpired and played it, I got kind of a love for it. And I think the fact that we used to do it kind of, what we're talking, September to February, it was nice and warm in the sports hall and didn't get wet. So there was an added bonus to that the English weather didn't affect it. So yeah, it was quite nice, and it was good for the fitness and good for the skills, and yeah, developed a love for the game quite early, I think. And actually, I probably started umpiring indoor before I started umpiring outdoor properly.
That was going to be my next question, because it sounds to me like you were so embroiled in that's probably where you went. So that's something you've got over me. I would have started umpiring indoor 6 months after I started umpiring outdoor. So maybe we can call that simultaneous over the time, but there you go. Yeah, so that's something we definitely have in common there, because here in Calgary, we have this really strong pocket of indoor. And we play, 6 months of every year, of course, so that really gets us involved. So I totally understand how taking shelter from the elements is one of the best parts about umpiring indoor. I don't know why more people don't do it over there. It's very, very compelling. Oh, there you go. So tell me about your, before we start getting into sort of tournament specifics, and we're going to go through your most recent Indoor World Cup final, pick up some clips from there and sort of talk about that experience. And that was back in 2008. But before we get there, I just kind of want to talk about, from your perspective, how do you see differences between indoor umpiring and outdoor umpiring in general?
Well, let's forget about the number of players on the pitch first, because we tried a few years to get 2 less, and that just didn't work. To be honest, we ended up with a game of chess. So let's keep it to the 6 we've got. And I think the fact that you can't hit the ball or slap the ball, or even lift the ball in terms of 3D skills, unless you're shooting at goal, adds a real different dynamic to it, really, in terms of the game, more of a team game. And then you put the boards on there as well, which is like the 7th player, if you like. Totally, the angles and then the speed of pass and everything just much different. So you are, for me personally, I think you work a lot harder indoor in terms of concentration, because it's non-stop. It's from end to end. You quite often will see goals scored from one side to the other within seconds. You don't have the long build-up plays like you do outdoors. So yeah, fast and frenetic, fast-flowing game, really, sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Not when I'm playing, but when everybody else is playing. Absolutely. There you go. So in terms of your sort of match preparation, because you are still a very high ranking, because you are FIH outdoor. No? Oh, I had that wrong. I thought you were. But anyway, National League, Prem panel in England for outdoor, which is absolutely nothing to sneeze at. We know that. How do you feel like preparation for matches is different between the two? Do you do anything different physically or mentally, or do you try to stick to the same sort of routine?
No, very different actually. And I spoke about this at our recent conference, to be fair. Normally it would start around about October time when I'm thinking about the indoor season that's coming. And I just try and break things down into 20 minutes. So 20 minutes of cycling or running the bleep test, which means I'm doing 20 meters, and then just walking and running and thinking about the game itself. So everything's geared around that indoor kickoff, because sometimes we might have no training games. It wouldn't be uncommon for the first game of the season for me to be the first Prem game of the year. So you go straight into it. And yeah, you don't want to be blowing or allowing lifted balls across the stick and a good bit of 3D skill. So you've got to very quickly switch between the two. And I think, to be fair, I've done quite well at that over recent years, because I would always not umpire outdoor when I'm umpiring indoor. So my outdoor season would normally not start again until end of February or March. So I certainly wouldn't, once I started indoor, I'd leave it until I'd finished.
Right.
Because otherwise I would get myself confused.
Yeah.
And I must admit, it wouldn't be unheard of for me to blow drilling outdoors before I came back. And I think they've all been there a little bit. But...
Yeah. Well, that makes sense to me in a lot of respects, because it's about danger, and you're not calling drilling, especially at your level, and when we're applying that subjective feeling to it, we're not reacting to the technical aspects of the drill. We're reacting to the danger of it. And, you're a player, I'm a player. So many umpires are actually players, and we do feel that visceral reaction to that danger in our gut. And we go, oh my God, I don't want to see that. And it's interesting how we have such a higher tolerance for that kind of thing in outdoor than we do in indoor. Do you see a day where we might be changing that up a little bit in the outdoor rules?
It's a very different dynamic to the game, I think, in terms of where the feet come into it indoor and where they come into it outdoor, because you haven't got the boards to think about and things like that. But in that instance, I did get away with it because the stick actually hit the defender in the chest. And although I termed it drilling at the time, it was actually dangerous. So, but I think, to be fair, the principles still apply. If the action is danger and it's dangerous, then why not penalise it, indoors or outdoors? We've got to look after the player's safety at the end of the day, and that's one of the pillars of umpiring.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So you've had your start in England. You're moving up the ranks. You're doing National League there. When did you get your first call up to an international tournament? I know you've got a massive memory for your indoor matches, but do you remember that first tournament?
I do remember the first tournament. And strangely, it was in 2008, and it was in Sheffield. So I had to go and spend 4 nights in a hotel 15 minutes from my house, which was an interesting explanation to the family at the time. So yeah, it was in Sheffield, which was the B Nations. Quite a nice introduction to international umpiring. Got my badge at that tournament. Roomed with a chap called Andy Mayer, which was quite interesting. So no, it was great to be on home soil, really, and that even more to be in your home city. So it was, really, really nice tournament. Is all I remember of that tournament really was having to organise the Saturday night dinner for 32 people because England hockey forgot. And of course, being a local boy, I got the job.
Yeah, exactly. That's something for the people at home. If you haven't had the opportunity to do an international tournament like that, you end up being a kind of like a informal team liaison. So you're expected to do a lot of hospitality and arranging of dinners and advice on excursions and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's hilarious that you got stuck with that. But 32 people, that's a big slice of organizing there. How did the tournament go for you? Did you feel really at home, or did you feel a little bit overwhelmed and, oh my gosh, what's happening here? Because I've only been to one international tournament for indoor myself. So I don't have anything to compare to. I just have that one experience, and it was fairly late in my career. So, there you go. How did you make out?
I obviously really enjoyed it because it's the first experience, and I think I was fortunate to be in the home country. So we've got David Elcock was a judge, Colin Barthorpe, Francis was umpiring, as I said, Andy Mayer. So there was lots of people that I knew and actually got me through that. So it was a very easy introduction.
Yeah.
Because I knew all the people there. So I wasn't passed off to, I don't know, Ukraine or something. I didn't know anybody or anything like that. So I was probably quite fortunate in that respect. And the hockey, with it being B division, was quite a good standard. Mm-hmm. That's when England did play indoor hockey at that time.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what happened in England after that time? What was it that had such a dampening effect on indoor in the country? And do you think, are things changing? Are we going to get back to that?
Who's on this call? Very carefully. I think because of the indoor perspective, we've never probably really seen it as a main part of our game, because we were never really going to trouble the Germans or the Dutch or the Austrians or even the Russians. And I think, let's be realistic, at the moment our GB setup in England is all about funding. So the funding stream for indoor is not there. So Olympics is obviously the concentration, and the Euro Hockey League, things like that, not the indoor scene, unfortunately. So yeah, it's fallen by the wayside.
Do you think I don't see any reason myself, if there weren't some infrastructure and program changes with how long your indoor season is, for example, that, there wouldn't be any reason why you couldn't catch up to those big indoor hockey nations. Do you think that that's something that England hockey might want to make a priority, for example, or examine? Because it seems to go hand in hand. Success on the indoor stage at the highest levels also turns into success on the indoor stage outdoor success turns into indoors. No, vice versa. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
I think fundamentally, I think there's any coincidence that the Germans and the Dutch do so well in their outdoor format because they all play indoor together.
Yeah.
And then the Belgians have invested so much time and money into indoor hockey. That's now reflected in their outdoor status, coming from, I don't know where they were, 9th in the world to world champions.
Yep.
So, and it's the same teams, the same players.
Yeah.
So, in terms of that skill set and holding the team atmosphere and what they do, it's part of it. So, yeah, I would like to think that at some point we will see sense and progress with it, but who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Really nice comment here from Crispy Prince of Wales, as I like to call him. Should get the Bucks National League sides running in the international program. Maybe the indoor program is maybe what Crispy's saying, as it would act as an additional pathway. That's a really nice idea. And I think, again, it just seems to make sense to me that in a climate where you do have so many matches getting called off because the pitches are frozen and bad weather and that sort of thing, that going inside is a smart thing to do. Ask me how I know, because we don't play in the snow. But hey, maybe someday things will shift around and we'll start moving back into the hall more often. So from your first tournament, your home tournament there in Sheffield, you started in 2008, and now here we're sitting at the beginning of 2021, and you are one of the most highest capped indoor international umpires in the world. Is that right? You've done a comparison, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. I think so.
Okay, there you go. And how many caps is that now?
60 odd, I think.
Yep, absolutely.
Some
So
people probably check and correct me, but I don't know.
I can just see Jenks in the back of my mind. Jenks is already going like this on the keyboard trying to find the information because he loves to call me out on things. But there you go. So
on the basis that the international tournaments are only every 2 years.
Yeah.
So we don't have much of hockey to umpire really in that respect.
Yeah. Oh, tell me more about that. So, I remember when you contacted me about PAF Indoor, and you were saying, hey, what kind of tournaments do you have? And I said, wait, you mean the one tournament we have every 4 years? The one tournament that is our indoor qualifier. And there's we're starting to get a couple of challengers to the Pan Am Indoor Cup, which is nice, but it's still one of those tournaments every 4 years, which is even worse. And you also have the club tournaments, right? You've done quite a few European club tournaments as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, the clubs are great, to be fair. The clubs are sometimes better than the nations. The clubs take it really seriously. So when you go to Austria or Germany, wherever, really good club setup and really good atmospheres, and the club seems really, really good because that is their hockey in Europe. That's what they play from kind of November to February. That's it.
Yeah. So in addition to those 60 plus indoor international matches, you've also got a number of those sort of international club experiences. So that's really great. And that's really difficult to do, to get those numbers up. So we were talking about this, last week, and we were talking about golden whistles and outdoor and things like that. And we've had conversations about whether they should maybe look at a different criterion for indoor, since there are far fewer tournaments and far few opportunities to get those matches in, right?
Yeah, that'd be nice. Where's mine?
Oh, there we go. So an unidentified, somebody who's not alleviated or they haven't clicked on the eChem link, says 61 caps, 56 senior, and 5 under 21. So now you know. Now you know. So we're going to turn to your Indoor World Cup match really quickly here. And remember, everybody at home, don't forget, if you have a question for Baz, hit up in the comments here. And if it's impolite, I'm guaranteed to put it. No, keep it clean, folks. Keep it clean. This is going on all the social media platforms, and they demand a certain sense of propriety from us. So, but we'd love to have your questions and your input and all of those things on board, because watching guests squirm as much as I do would be a very nice thing for me. So you've done 2 Indoor World Cups, is that correct? Or no, you've done 3.
No, 2.
2. Oh, okay. Oh, the one that should have been 2020 would have been your 3rd.
That should have been next month, yeah.
Yeah, next month. Oh, right. Okay. It wasn't originally scheduled in 2020. It was originally 2021. Okay. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And so fingers crossed for you that you get to the next one in 2022 now. It's in Belgium, is that right?
It is, yeah, Belgium.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I understand that the appointments stay the same as long as people's availabilities are.
Who knows?
Well, I've heard that that's how it's going. So now the FIH has to stick to it because I've said it out loud. So don't make me a fool, guys. There you go. So tell me about the best non-indoor World Cup tournament that you've been to, because you definitely wanted to talk about one. I've got a photo that I'm going to try to pull up if I can. Yeah, let's see.
There's been so many, and I think across Europe and across the world, I think each one's individually different. You also have something that comes out of each tournament that you take home that you love, that was brilliant. But I think this one yesterday actually, which was my third European final with my little mate Spud, who actually only got the call up for the tournament 36 hours before it was due to start. I think it was really, really quite fantastic to be honest. For a lot of reasons, this tournament stood out for me, and it's Germany in the final on home soil and winning. The noise and the atmosphere is it's difficult to describe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you've worked through that game on other presentations like this, and so you've had the opportunity to talk it through, and I've heard you describe how special it was, especially to be with, you know, such a good friend in Sean Edwards and so many English people in the crew, which was really, really nice to see. There's a question from the back here, just as you're on the big screen. The GB frame behind you, what is in that right above your head there?
The GB frame, yeah. The GB frame is a photograph of all the umpires from the London Olympics, and it's all signed. So they've all signed it. They're all on it. So it's all the crew. So that's what's in the frame.
That's awesome. Jamie Cox wants to know why shoes on a printer.
Because everybody asked me about the shoes, so I brought the shoes down from the study. They're on a bit of board, so the shoes are on the board. Look, and yeah.
Oh my God!
Everybody asked me why the shoes are so shiny, but the shoes are over 10 years old and they've done over 200 games, so they only come out for the indoor. That's it.
Did you do this yourself, or was this a gift from somebody?
On the board?
Yeah, the shoes on the board.
Yeah. No. Come on.
Oh, you did. Oh, okay. I thought it was like an art installation, which would be amazing.
Not yet, but maybe soon.
Just nail them on and then put it up on the wall. It would be so hilarious. I would pay money to make that happen and see all that. Okay. There's another really good question in here. This is Jane Evans asking, what is the best way to get into indoor umpiring? And I'm sure that depends on what country you're in, but let's assume we're talking in the UK here.
Yeah, well, it's difficult depending on what region you're in. I know there's still a lot that goes off in Hampshire and further down south. Certainly in the north, we have very few tournaments now. But yeah, local associations is a good start. I'm sure you'll find a league somewhere. I'm also involved in something else in indoor hockey, which is the Indoor Hockey UK, which is a little, not say a franchise, but it's something that we've been developed with the kids, really. It's been going for many years, and it's just got bigger and bigger. Mm-hmm. So we're now getting these test events, or we should have had, but we're not this year, obviously, from the Copper Box to one in Derby. We're trying to get one further north, another one in the south somewhere. So, yeah, hopefully it'll get some momentum and more opportunity, really. But yeah, local association is a starting point.
Yeah. Inga just making a comment here that sometimes getting a reply is hard. So my advice would be, I mean, you're everybody who's watching at home, you're meeting Baz here. You know that with all the umpires that I've had on and all the connections that we're trying to create through, FHumpires and other groups like that, is that sometimes the best way is just to reach out to somebody that you know who is senior in your somewhat area, and they'll help you, right? I mean, we all love to mentor, and we love to be able to get people involved, because if somebody's putting up their hand, we know that you're passionate. So don't be shy about reaching out to somebody like me, Baz, Sean Edwards, tons and tons of people who are here on this call. Reach out to them, and you never know who they can get you in touch with. So don't be dissuaded. Sometimes associations just don't have you're getting to the volunteer who maybe doesn't know themselves, and that creates an obstacle for them. Get in touch with Baz. He'll sort you. There you go. I just voluntold you. You are officially voluntold. Okay, let's see. Oh, here's Ian just mentioning he loves to help out at Indoor Hockey UK, which is great. Okay, we're going to get to the Indoor World Cup final in just a second, but a mutual friend of ours, Anna, would like to know, what is your routine before the game?
God. Very different indoors to outdoors. I have a few things that I always do. So in terms of my warm up and my stretches, and I have my little ball that I roll my feet on and things like that, because indoor hockey is quite scampery. You're on your toes a lot, and everybody knows I've probably had some calf problems in the past, but there you go. And probably the most quirkiest thing, I brush my teeth before every game. What part of my routine that I will go brush my teeth? Don't know why.
You know, quirky, but it makes a lot of sense. I mean, why wouldn't you? You're about to blow your whistle. Hygiene is very important, and I'm sure the players appreciate it too. So
it's not about the hygiene. It's the fact that you've been drinking coffee most of the day, and you go into a sports hall that's really, really hot, and before you know it, you need a drink, and your mouth goes so dry, and so it just, I don't know. One of my little things.
Oh, we've all got our little things. That's awesome.
Plenty of stretching, a little few sprints, and put the music on.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to tell you what I listen to, but
yeah. Indoor is a really interesting physical demand because, like you said, it is scampery. You're not running as far, but your motions tend to be quicker almost, and you're changing direction more often, and it's smaller adjustments but more frequent, and backpedaling, and like you do in outdoor and that sort of thing. So that all can combine into some interesting scenarios. So hopefully I've got this all queued up properly, and we're going to be able to go through all the clips. So we are heading into the Indoor World Cup Final 2018, and this is Germany and Austria in Germany, correct? Tell me about your colleague before we start.
My colleague, Pavel. I think we were fortunate that we did the last World Cup, the previous World Cup final together. So I think from that we've known each other for, I don't know how many years, maybe too many, but kind of trust him on the pitch. There's no doubt about that, because he kind of does what I do as well. So I know where he's going to be, kind of know what he's going to do, and we've done quite a few games together in the past, which has always been nice. And similar to the previous World Cup, we did the first game and the last game together, which is quite interesting. So set the scene and then finished it off. But no, he's a lovely chap, and his wife makes the best lemon vodka. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, wow. Good to know. I'm sad now that I've never met him, because that would come in handy. Okay, so you and I, we picked out, well, you actually did most of this work and picking out all the clips that you wanted to sort of talk about. So we're going to start working through these. And again, for people at home, I'd love for you to chime in with your questions about things when you see them. Remember, there is a little bit of a delay, so I might have to come back and get to something as much as possible. But hopefully this is all going to work. So we're going to start off pretty early in the game here. Oh, money.
Now Korpa. Great tackle from Vine.
And we have an example of something that I showed off in the Trapping Really Tuesday. So why don't you talk us through exactly what is happening?
Yeah, so the reason I put this in is the fact that it's not the best shot in the world, and probably not the best angle, but then if you watch what the attacker does with his body, he changes his body line just to push the ball straight into the defender's stick.
Right.
Which, you're not allowed to deliberately do that indoors, because all he's trying to do is manufacture a foul, or even then get himself a bully. So looking to retain possession. So, if you watch it, it just changes the angles just slightly, like now, to deliberately push it into the defender, which you can't do.
Yep.
It's one of those quirky things indoor.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the purpose behind this is that we're worried about the player's hands, right? And because especially, some players do wear double gloves, but a lot of players, wouldn't necessarily be wearing a glove, on both of the hands. So there is vulnerability there for sure. And so that is really just a form of trying to protect people and making sure everybody can go to work and go to school the next day. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Little question here from Nico. Lee, how many times have you tripped over the boards over the years?
Okay. So Nico, interestingly, was my first foreign roommate many years ago when I went abroad. So there you go. But I'll touch wood now. The boards are either your friend or your enemy, and I'm quite fortunate the boards have been my friend over the years, and I've seen a lot of people nosedive over the boards, and it's part of the reason why you see me with my foot on the boards a lot, because I'm always trying to work out where the boards are. So that's part of the fact I have my foot on it quite regular.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're touching base so that you've got that physical affirmation of where it is. Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, let's go to the second clip here that we've got. It's a little bit later, and we've got a little bit more trapping happening here. And you can even see Danny shaking his hand because he's been hit a little bit, but there was a couple things in this clip here.
Yeah, so that's the first one that you're not allowed to do again. Drilled it straight into the player. And the second bit of this, which is obviously used on Ruler Tuesday, was the distance of the ball travelling before it's played into the circle. Mm-hmm. So here I'm kind of gesturing that, not gone 3, yeah, that's happy now. Gone 3 meters and in you go, and penalty corner.
Yeah. Do you try to verbalize that, the 3 meters at all, or in indoor, does it just go too fast for that to happen?
No, similar to outdoor, I will say 3 over very quickly.
Okay.
And for me, there's no confusion because the people in proximity can hear that. You know, the defenders heard it, the attackers heard it, so they put it into the circle. I'm already happy.
Right.
Done.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
But you've got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So many things happening. So we were looking at this because you wanted to bring this up as an example of game management.
Yeah, if you watch it again, just in the fact that I don't need to say anything, but my body language and gestures have communicated to the players what I want. Right. So there's a couple of whistles, there's a bit of hand movements. You can't obviously see my eyes because I'm glaring at him. But basically, bring it back where I want it. And that's as simple as that, really. Quite quick, quite early, and then off we go again.
Right,
so,
absolutely.
You know, as soon as you get to the other side of that halfway line, I was always going to bring it back quickly.
Yeah.
Because that's the play.
Do you find it's important to make those interventions early in a game? And does that make it easier for you later on?
Yeah, because it avoids the confusion, doesn't it? So the players know where you're coming from and what you want. And as long as they start playing by those same rules, we're good to go, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, get in there and intervene quite quickly.
Awesome. I think Nico's giving you a little stick here for your positioning in that first video, getting around the corner, which is always, it's so hard in indoor to react and things like that. So, but Nico, if you're interested in finding out more on my philosophy on indoor positioning that allows you to be in the circle earlier and in indoor, give me a shout because I have thoughts. There you go. Okay. This is one that I picked out, Lee, that I just wanted to show because I think this is one of the more unusual things about indoor hockey is we need to be watching for 3 points of contact, but there is a skill that a lot of players have developed, and you see really on this replay of shooting while falling. Do you have any tips, Baz, on how you can process that situation so you make an accurate call?
I think two things. You're looking where the ball carrier's feet are and where the ball is. So in Europe, the players are very good because he knows that he can't shoot without making a concerted effort to get further away. And the only way he can get further away is to be in the air. So if he was still in contact with the ball and with his feet on the floor, he won't be able to make that shot because it would hit the defender. So he's pushed it far enough away to create the angle, and then, the only way then he can take the shot is to be in the air. So a good example there from Tobias.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great skill. And it is tough, I think, for me. I when I'm trying to look for those situations, I try not to get too close because if you're close, you're almost over top of the situation and you're almost try to x-ray vision through the player's body as they're there. But if you got a little bit of a distance, then you're more likely to be able to see underneath and see whether when that contact is happening. So yeah, that's definitely part of it there. Okay, where are we at? We're at 5. We're rolling through these. These are great. So another example of trapping here with a different outcome. Can you explain to us why this one was a bully when it was a trap?
I think basically we're looking at this as an incidental trap rather than one player controlling it more than the other. So the ball's just there to be had, and they've both gone for make a tackle, and the ball's not coming out of there. So Pav, to be fair, was quite quick to get in and just call the bully. A few years ago, we'd probably play that for a couple of minutes, and see what would happen, which is not good for the game. So, yeah, the quicker you're in there, the better. Diffuse it. Let's reset everybody, and we'll go again.
Right.
It wouldn't be unheard of for that ball to get trapped again a couple of times on the bully, but you know.
Yeah, that's the one thing I really dislike about the bully is that it especially in indoor, it seems to put the players right back into the situation that they were in before, where they are pushing against each other and trying to get control of the ball in that close proximity. So I've seen it. I've got other examples that I'll be using in the future, and we'll head into the clip library where there's a bully and the players just end up doing that accidental, we would call it argy-bargy shoving, in the middle of the pitch, and then you just have to call another bully because nothing's coming out of it. Do you have any other techniques that you use to try to change that up? I have one, but I want to hear if you've got something.
Well, you mean like manufacture a free push?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm manufacturing one, but I would certainly maybe give the players a little bit of a yell and say, get the ball moving, and suddenly something happens. It goes off somebody's foot because they panic because I yelled at them. I don't know. Maybe that's not fair. That's probably not the best thing.
But that's why we changed the trapping dimension as well against the boards, because we're trying to open the game up and get the game flowing as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. And people locked together with a ball between them, not good. And similar, the player stuck on the boards that's trapped, not good either. So kind of get a route out, give the decision, move the game on. Yeah,
absolutely. And this is one of those aspects that I love about indoor, but it is quite kind of technical. It's hard to get it back to a purpose in it other than just to trying to promote faster open play. So it's one of those skills that you need to develop over time in the indoor game to pick up. This is trouble. We want the ball to get moving. I'm going to get in early, or, I can wait 2 seconds and it'll sort itself out. So yeah, definitely a tough balance to be had there. Okay, where are we at now? A little bit of a longer clip here. Corpor's just so powerful. It's amazing. So we've had a shot and it's coming back up into your end. You've got your arms in the air. Tell us what happened in this example here.
Well, two parts to this. One, it just shows you how quick the ball travels from one end to the other. But Christoph on the far side, and you'll see it on the slow-mo, you might not see it on the full speed. But the ball pops up maybe 10, 15 centimetres. Nobody near him. He's just outside the circle. It wouldn't have mattered if he was in the circle, to be fair. So, yeah, I played on from that as I would do anywhere else on the pitch. So there's no advantage gained. There's no disadvantage to the defenders. So for me, we just carry on. That's what the rule's there for. So, play on. It's lifted, but so.
Yeah, a lot of people ask what is the criterion for a lifted ball? When do you what is the height? And I think the more important question is how far away is a defender? So like you said, if that defender had been disadvantaged because they were close enough that they could have closed on the ball, or that change of dimensionality and the change of direction of the ball meant they had to make an adjustment that they shouldn't have had to make, well, that's the disadvantage that we're looking for, and that's when you call it. But a bigger raise further away from a defender, again, doesn't affect anything, doesn't make any difference to that defender at all. So why not just let the play go?
Yeah, cause and effect. There's no advantage or disadvantage. So it's not going over his stick. He's not gaining anything from it. So we carry on.
Yeah. Twisty here chiming in. Good to see you, Twisty. Just saying that none of the Austrians are appealing either. And hey, let's face it, these players know when to appeal. They're not shy about putting their hands up. So there you go. Okay, let's see where we are. Oh, we're at number 7 here. Oh, Anik just asking, did he play the ball in the air? Did Christopher Burr there play it in the air on that?
I'm obviously going to say no, he let it drop.
Yeah, sorry, Anika. Unfortunately, I'm working with 720p footage in probably 15 frames per second. So trying to get a nice slow-mo where you can see exactly how the ball moves and what exactly the stick does. It's very blurry, but that's the best I can give you because that's what the way the footage is. But yeah, I back you up on that one, Baz. Definitely not. You're good. So the next example here you wanted to talk about because it's about positioning.
Yeah, and it's thankfully the slow-mo is not going to work because I look really, elegant skipping across the pitch there. But yeah, this was about positioning because I know the ball or Pav's at the other end. He's not got time to come up. I've got a 6'4" goalkeeper on the floor, and the only place I can go to see that ball is to put myself in quite a dangerous position. It could be if that ball comes back, I'm right in the middle of the circle. So yeah, edge your bets. I knew I couldn't see it from the baseline, so I had to get somewhere else.
Yeah,
and just get on your feet to get out of the way quickly.
Yep. A couple things I really like about that calculation, though, you were just saying that, and I've just paused it here to show that it could be a dangerous situation, but this is Germany's attacking this end still, correct? So you don't have any German attackers behind you on the left side. So especially here, it's not as if the ball is very quickly going to get over there because there's no reason for the ball to move into that direction. You just have a couple of Austrian defenders around you, so you are quite safe in moving into that position for sure. Yeah. I don't know if this is a universal term, but I like to call this flashing. A, because it's sassy, and B, it indicates just how quickly you're moving there. But yeah, you've come right in line with the penalty spot, right in the center of the goal, but it's a safe time to do it. And the other thing that you mentioned I really liked was that you were aware of what Pavel was doing on the other end. So you had made the calculation, I know that I can't rely on him for a close in decision, so I need to look after it and swing up, which was really cute. Yeah. Oh, you got Isaac giving you a stick here. Careful with that position, guys. You might get hit. No.
Yeah, well, Isaac's, as we know, unfortunately ended up with a ball in the head from being in a very similar position. However, the attacker had the ball on the far side of the circle at that point, not on the baseline. So the shot was only going to go towards goal, and he was in it.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, let's see. Oh, come on. I want quality banter, guys. Okay. Riding his horse, semi-funny, but not as funny as I demand. Okay. So pick up your game. Thursky, I want better. And Jenks chiming in with any guest. So come on, you guys. All right. This is the next clip, and I'm glad you pulled this one out because I felt the same thing. So what were your feelings on this when you sort of watched this back?
Well, watching it live, I'm looking, that's just a foul and I'm the other end and it's Pavel's call, and whether he was unsighted about the height of the defender's stick there, but yeah, it's a green card and that's it. You're into the second half, it's a breakdown tackle. We should have dealt with that and the Germans should have been sat down, to be fair.
Yeah.
Watching now, there's no doubt it should have been a green card.
Yeah. I'm wondering why Ruhr put his hand in the air at that moment. I'm just very curious because he couldn't have been claiming a stick block or I don't know. He's like, please green card my team. Not sure what's happening.
It's our ball, but it's certainly not his ball. Look at that.
Yeah. I think that, you pointed out rightly that I think from there, Pavel is blocked from seeing that. He's got the ball carrier's body in the way, and maybe that defender as well that was on the ball carrier's left shoulder. So that would have been a tough one for them to see. So this is about, us having that appreciation that, there are times with positioning of our colleague that, oh, I need to step in here because my colleague wouldn't have seen that. Now, you guys aren't on radios. Is that right? Have you ever worn a radio for indoor?
We wear them in England, indoors, and we always have done. We did try them in Berlin, actually, for the last Europeans, which didn't work so well. So we got rid of them after the first few games because they were more of an interference than a help.
Oh, okay.
But we have done in the past, yeah. And some of them work quite well.
Was that just down to the technology that they interfered, or did you find that just having them didn't help you?
There was a lot of background noise, so that they were picking up frequencies from a lot of different noises from the PA system and all the crowd, and you were hearing everything, every clap, and picked everything up. Too much quality.
Yeah.
So we decided to get rid of them and go old school.
Right. I have a set of Xiwi radios that I like to use for, some of the bigger local matches and use for umpire coaching as well. And I find it interesting that I would have expected them actually to be worse in indoor than they are. And maybe it depends on what kind of radio you're using. So, maybe for all of you at home, if you're thinking about, oh, should I be bringing out my motorcycle Bluetooth radios to an indoor match? I mean, give them a try, but that might be exactly the kind of situation where they're not designed to work very well, that they will pick up all that ambient noise as you were talking about, whereas a more professional, attuned radio that picks up whistle frequencies more often and picks up that proximity of the voice, maybe that would work a lot better. But yeah, I always find it really nice because you have so much less time that just being able to overhear what's happening with your colleague can give you so much more insight as to what's happening in the game. Would you? Yeah,
well, and even just to put reassurance or assistance to your colleague, because you're quite a long way away, and the noise is quite a lot, and you can't quite communicate sometimes, particularly language barriers and things like that. And you can't umpire with subtitles, I'm afraid, but I'm sure there's probably someone here that. We had the EHF radios, but they were just more of a distraction. Yeah. So we agreed, get rid of them.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just had a comment up there from Crispy saying that in Santander their radios worked really well. So it's probably down to brand and maybe situation and things like that. So there you are. All right, let's pull up the next clip here. Now you pointed this one out because you wanted to show the difference between what is not a drill.
Yeah, I mean, very, very simply, the line of the ball is outside of the body, so it's not dangerous to the hands or the feet. It's not particularly hard either, to be fair. And that trying to pick up that difference of the dangerous aspect, because that ball is not dangerous. Yeah, it's going to go outside the line of the defender.
Yeah, I think that's that's one of the confusions that we get into sometimes, especially with players, is they're reacting sometimes and they're asking for drilling when the ball goes into their stick. But we're not protecting sticks, are we? Because sticks don't need any protection. They're quite, sturdy little devices. It's the person who's wielding it and wanting to make sure that, yes, it's not a ball that's flying off their stick and into their face or, breaking their hands or feet that we're really worried about. So I like that, being able to emphasize that distinction, that on the outside there, it's not going to be drilling. So yeah, really good. Well, we're screaming along with these clips. I'm trying to make sure that I don't press the same button again. So
moves it on. Walter is having the most awesome of games, and Unterkircher you had to fill.
This was a great example to see.
Ball in the air. It's a simple one that actually in Germany they are allowed to actually trap the ball in their national league, but not internationally. You're not allowed to play at the ball. You can let the ball hit your stick, but you can't. It's not stick to ball. It's ball to stick, and that's a double attempt at trapping it. Right. And interestingly, the Germans appealed for that, which when they do it, they think it's okay.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. So when you say that it's okay for them to do it in Germany, do they have a rule variation, or is it just an interpretation difference?
It's an interpretation. I mean, they never played hockey fives. They always played six. They never took the one person off. So they have their own little local rules and the way they want to play the game, which is fun.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting rule about playing in the air. And I can see why you have to draw that line, and that stick to ball, not allowing that stick to ball is a great place to draw the line in the sand. But I always appreciated, I remember watching the Canadian men's team back in the day, and there were a couple players like Kenny Prairie who was so good at taking the ball and they literally, the ball would land on their stick, and they would just sort of, and it was like self-pass skills, like long before self-pass existed, and just taking it straight down to the floor, and the ball was just stuck to their stick, and they would just put it straight down. I'd be like, what is that? I mean, and we always want to see nice skill, and we want to encourage that, but there are certain times where we do have to stick to the interpretations, because otherwise we get incongruous results down the road, like people being able to contact the ball several times, or being able to play the ball forwards, or anything like that. So yeah, I can see why that's a distinction that needs to be made, but it's kind of sad because I missed that. Let's see. Yeah. And funnily, the exact same reaction from Chris Simon Begg saying, we can always count on them. It's nice to have the players on our sides, letting us know what we're missing.
Well, he didn't mean to pass to Schmidt. Schmidt wasn't even on the pitch.
So we're well into the second half here. And I wanted you to take us through this, because I hear you, I think it's you blowing the whistle, but it could have been Pavel, because I see his arm is out. So right there, you're playing on advantage. Is that right?
Yeah, so the first foul, a little foul from Rouleau, we're playing the advantage. The ball's into the circle. It's played across. And I'm not entirely sure what it looks. You run it a couple of clips. I look at Pavel.
Okay.
We're not going to see it. And Pavel blows it because it's hit the foot. And now the Germans are off again. Now, interesting for this one, he's made no attempt to stop that ball whatsoever. However, within 2 strides, he loses it. So let's carry on. Because we're not going to come back and give him a second bite of the cherry at this level to stop that ball and retake the free push. So he's chosen to go and then got tackled.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's carry on.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. So it's one of those situations where you see something happening that's wrong, but if you just hold on for a second, you can sense that, okay, the player doesn't have great possession of the ball, doesn't have a lot of places to go. He's likely going to get tackled here. And you kind of gamble in a sense that that's going to happen. And what a beautiful tackle. So it all worked out very well for Pavel there. Really like that one. Let's go straight into the next clip. So this was a penalty corner in your end for Austria, and you needed to call it back. So what happened here?
Well, basically, indoor and outdoor, I do the same thing at every corner. So once we're set, and we obviously got the shot clock these days, once we're set, I'll always say play, and then off we go. So everybody knows that when I say play, we're good to go. On this instance, the Austrians went before I said play. So I immediately pulled it back. Germans weren't happy because Corper had a bit of a kind of a nothing shot, and Germans weren't happy. And so I thought, no, we're going to reset and we're going to go again. As simple as that, really. So I'm in control of that whole situation, and it's quite key indoor because it's slightly different to outdoor. But the penalty corner indoor is a really big decision, and it can lead to some serious injuries if everybody's not ready and right. So for me, I'll always go on the same premise.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
In my play.
And I think it's really important to point out too that this was in 2018, before we were stopping the clock on every penalty corner. So you weren't using your whistle to restart play. You were using your voice, which, especially in that kind of environment, must have been a real disadvantage because it was so incredibly loud and all that kind of stuff. Just a little question from our friend, Rob Tencat. I think this is referring to the last clip. So with Nguyen taking the rolling ball on the free push there, and he's asking whether a penalty corner might have been a better decision instead of the advantage for the defender. Is that anything that popped into your mind, or what kind of circumstances would you look for where you'd want to call that penalty corner for failing to stop the ball on a free push?
Well, I mean, if obviously the attacker had still not got good possession of the ball and he didn't have options to go into the circle or make a pass, then yeah, I'd have probably gone straight to the penalty corner. If the defender had closed him down and made a tackle, I'd have probably gone back to the penalty corner. Mm-hmm. But he didn't. He got the pass away and we put it across the circle. But unfortunately, the guy on the far side didn't connect with his stick. So I think you're right, Rob. If that pass hadn't been made and a tackle had been made, I'd have gone for the corner. So okay. I was lucky.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes
it's also quite a lucky little game that we play sometimes. But if I got my arm up, it would have been easy to sell something else.
Yep, that makes sense.
So that was my get out of jail card.
Absolutely. And way to go on agreeing with your umpire manager there. That's good strategy. Yeah. Okay. Oh, let's see. I think this is the last one. So we're now really deep into the second half. We've only got 4 minutes left. Austria's brought it back to 1 goal, and you make a pretty big call here. Now, there's 2 parts about this clip. What do you see here?
Well, when I see this now in slow motion, at the time, I didn't think that pass was legal because it sounded hitty, and it kind of comes from the heart, and it felt hitty because the distance, it looked like the stick had moved. Certainly when he gets into the circle, then there's a foul there because the attacker's just deflected it straight into the defender, who can't do anything. Mm-hmm. And we're not allowing that. That's dangerous, and you need to find a better option. But interesting, I would have thought that Pavel would have blown this from the outset because he had the best view in the house. And so for me, that's a hit as well. So that should have been blown as the first pass.
Yep.
As a free kick to Germany.
Yeah, I can't.
And what happens when we get to this time in the game? People start to force things and trying to get that extra bit more on the pass. Not to happen. Yeah. And we need to watch for this and make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. That consistency on the hitting is a big deal because it does set the example, because these are the highlights that go out to the public and they see them and they wonder, okay, does that mean that that's now legal? So there you go. And I like how you drew out the point that there wasn't anything the defender could do. They were very close, and that's what made that shot on goal dangerous. And the commentator, who I've mercifully, for our sakes, muted, was saying, oh, well, I guess that shot on goal, I guess I saw it differently than the umpire. But not every shot on goal is okay, and you can create danger for your opponent. There. All right. Well, we're now into the last 3 minutes, so let's very cheekily run this a little bit, and I'll just turn the volume down just a little so that we can maybe still hear some whistles, but you can talk us through. So you've got 3-2 now in the final, Germany up. How are you feeling about this, and what's going through your head?
Ooh, I need a rest at this point. But so the ball here got trapped in the corner. And it's like one of those that you're looking for something, either a free push or the bully, to just deflect it and get them out and reset the game. So at this point, it's been reset. Ruhr clips the player there, Stanzel. And I already knew that the Austrians had called for a timeout. So the slightest touch, I was going to defuse this. We're going for a timeout. We can have a drink. Me and Pavel can have 30 seconds just to gather our thoughts, because we knew that the kicking back's coming on, and this next 3 minutes is going to be massive because anything can happen.
Yeah.
And your thinking process now changes purely because of this guy with this different colour shirt on.
Yep.
And as you can see, on the floor, and anything kind of goes for him in the D, which is a shame. We're not going to see that for a while now. But so your game pattern, your thinking totally changes. Because you don't want to be blowing penalty corners or strokes against that guy in the circle, which you are going to look pretty daft. So, really switched on for the last 3 minutes. Off the ball, we've dropped now into the long corner, and you know, at 2 minutes now, Austria's putting everybody into the circle, everybody's forward. So yeah, it's eyes and ears on everything you can, really.
So wanted world glory, so wanted the #1 status. At the moment, it's not going to go their way. Stanzel.
And of course, it's a couple of players from Austria, and it's slowed down. And hopefully, you'll see this, but everything the Germans were asking for previously, in their eyes, is now not a foul.
That was a massive raise and very, very easy. It's interesting how they could even say anything about that.
Well, exactly, but we're now into the last. We know if it's a goal, it's a draw. So, yeah, interesting that their thinking process. Well, that's not a foul, but the previous 3-4 of them were.
Yeah,
And, yeah.
And in that situation, you're just sort of absorbing, right? You're not going to go out and try to stamp that out. You just know that there's a lot of emotion. And
Yeah, you've got 8,000 fans booing.
Yeah.
So what do you do? You have to make the call.
Yep. So Austria's now tied it up on that penalty corner. Corper obviously coming through. And we've got 30 seconds.
Yeah. So again, now still in the balance, could go either way. Nobody wants to give anything away. This is the point. You're just trying to keep it simple. So yeah, first foul, blow it, freeze it, off we go again. With no advantage at the minute. We're just going to tighten it all up. And of course, then hang up. We have the massive smash straight down the pitch, and thank you very much. We'll blow that end of the game.
Yeah. Do you think that Pavel may have seen that? Oh yeah, we're just going to go straight into the shootout now. That's a separate clip, right? Do you think Pavel, may have had that sharper in his mind because of the earlier hit, and so he got that one with seconds to go?
And I think the timeout was also good for us because we could just regroup for that 30 seconds and look, let's watch the hits, let's watch this, because we know they're going to force it, we know they're going to try the extra stuff. So from an umpire perspective, timeouts work for us as well, just to get that connection again.
So one of the reasons I wanted to bring out the shootout in this, first of all, it decides the game, but it's also neat to see the shootout in indoor because we haven't seen a lot of them, not like we have seen so many pro league, shootouts and that sort of thing. So take us through your process here and how you're handling the shootout, because you and Pavel are a team on this, on the same circle.
Yeah, we are a team. We're operating as a team. So, if there's a decision, in theory, I could also make it for the defence or the attack. I'd like to think Pavel would get there first, to be honest. I lost the toss anyway, so he got to be the lead umpire, unfortunately. And he also said that I'd give him more goals in the game, so he wanted to through. But, you're just kind of watching for everything here because we have no video replays. We can't take it upstairs, we can't reconfirm, we can't, you've got one shot at this and we've got to be eyes on everything, really. So this is very intense, very full concentration.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
do you think that there would be any place for referrals in a shootout or in indoor period, or do you think that the game is just too fast and it would be it wouldn't be an asset to the game?
Yeah, I think sometimes it would definitely, but I think that the game's just so fast that by the time one of the players has tried to get my attention to call for a referral, it could be the other end and we could have scored.
Yeah.
And if you look at the way football's gone in England with the VAR, it's a bit of a lottery anyway. So I think we let the game flow and we just trust the people that's out there to make the right decisions at the right time.
Yeah. Well, I think we're very fortunate that we haven't let video referral go the way that VAR has in football. That's for sure. But that's partially because we're just better as a sport. But yeah, I think even just putting out the Rolly Tuesdays and the clips and talking through the clips today with you can see that there are so many things happen in such a compressed period of time that it's not about one discrete foul that changes everything. There's like 5 fouls all at once, and it's just about kind of getting that first one, really. So,
yeah, let's be honest, the players won't recognise the foul before, they're going to recognise the last one. 2 pitches against them. So yeah, law of averages there, but yeah, you just concentrate on everything here and making sure you don't make a mess of it. To be honest,
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting if this ball had not gone quite as far on that one because the keeper steps outside and the hooter goes just as the attacker gets to the keeper with the ball. Thankfully, so
Right.
not going an extra meter. That would be an interesting call. They'll have a
Yeah.
goalkeeper outside the circle with his feet together, stopping the ball in time.
Yep. Absolutely, because that rule still applies in the
Yeah,
shootout.
And this is the funniest moment that Pablo's trying to get out of the way and didn't know what to do, but yeah.
That's the reaction always. You just put your hands up and you try to duck really carefully out of the way, and hopefully it's not going to go all wrong and get you trapped up. Oh, there you go. Well, I mean, what a fantastic game. How did you feel when you were done? And what did you do? Break open a bottle of wine, a little champagne?
No, exhausted. The beer. It's quite interesting that when you finish that, we're almost like shuffled out of the place very quickly. You know, you're waiting, you sign the forms, you do your bits, and then that's kind of end of tournament. And yeah, beer in the changing rooms, and just, I don't know. We didn't quite. It was interesting. I don't mind admitting it, because after the first World Cup, we got back to the change room and kind of just broke down. You know, it was a career-defining moment, and you got to these two grown men in emotionally just because it just overtook us. And I think this one was slightly different because we'd been there and we'd seen it before, so we knew what it was about. And yeah, it's still gets you in the heart, but yeah, a little bit more grown up this time. But yeah, mentally and physically shattered, I must admit.
Yeah. And there you go, Simon, accusing you then of after the game brushing your teeth with lemon vodka. That seems like a great way to celebrate for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that was fantastic. I really appreciate you, going through all those scenarios and sharing your insights from being in the game and talking about indoor hockey generally. It's very obvious to me, and I think anybody who's watched your career, that you are deeply passionate about the indoor game, and you've been a real asset, to moving the indoor game along and umpiring at all the levels. So thank you so much for all of that. It was awesome. And thank you to everybody at home for all your contributions and your questions and all that. If you have any follow-ups, go ahead and post. This will be up forever for everybody. So just go ahead and tag at Lee Barron on the Facebooks or anywhere else, and you can get more answers to your questions and all that. So Lee, thanks again for all of the time. It was fantastic. And I wish you all the best for the World Cup next year. We'll all be watching and cheering you on for sure.
Who knows? We'll see.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.